A very good afternoon to all the students who are present today for yet another lecture of third year BCom semester 5 for the subject Business Administration. I warmly welcome one and all. Now students, you have been attending the previous lectures on BA, so you are already aware that we have started and discussed quite a lot on the third chapter or the third part of Unit 1 that talks on capitalization. Before we move on with the new topics for the day, I would just give you a quick glimpse of whatever we have covered up till now. So in the first lecture for capitalization, I explained you the meaning of capital. We had understood the meaning with reference to different viewpoints such as the trader's view, the economist's view, the accounting view, the commerce, and from the viewpoint of law, that is the legal viewpoint. So we understood the meaning of capital as to what it comprises of based on different point of views. I also explained you the meaning of capitalization. That was to say in simple words, the total capital that is invested in the business to run its operations smoothly, which could be shares, maybe equity share, preference share, could be the bonds and the debentures, could be the long-term loans, and could also be the accumulated surplus. That is to say, the money that is being retained in the business itself and not distributed in the form of dividend to the shareholders. Thereafter, in the previous lecture, we also discussed about the importance of capitalization, how a reliable and an accurate estimate of capital would help us avoid the situation of both over as well as under capitalization. And we also discussed the meaning of both the terms previously. Thereafter, we discussed an important question on the theories of capitalization. So I had explained you about the cost theory, the earnings theory, and the present market value of asset theory. We have not only discussed but also revised it previously, so I shall not be going into detail, but you can just have a quick look. I had explained you as to for which business enterprise which theory can be applied, how capitalization is computed with respective theories. In the previous lecture, we discussed the most important parts of this chapter, that is to say over and under capitalization. I also told you in the previous lecture that you need to prepare two questions mainly out of the chapter, that is to say one with over capitalization. We would be studying the causes, the effects, and the remedies of the same. And similarly, we would do it for undercapitalization also. In the previous lecture, I gave you a complete understanding about the meaning of over and undercapitalization. We would just be revising the same very quickly, and thereby we focus on the causes, the effects, and what remedies can be taken against overcapitalization. Because I very well told you even in the previous lecture that neither we want a situation of over or undercapitalization. What we want is an optimal capital structure. So students, let me first talk on overcapitalization. It would be just a quick recap of whatever we have done in the previous lecture. So I hope you remember the basic difference between over and undercapitalization. When I say that the amount of capital invested in the business is more than its requirement. You don't require that much capital, but still if invested in the business leads to a situation of overcapitalization. But think about the situation in the contrary manner, that if the funds are less than what is actually required by the organization, it would be undercapitalization. Secondly, we also discussed that when the capital investment is much more than the earning capacity of the firm, the company is not able to earn that much, but capital investment is quite high. Even that situation can be known as overcapitalization. But on the contrary, when the funds invested are less, but the earning capacity is higher comparatively, it is a situation of undercapitalization. And thirdly, I also explained you how can you compare the real value and the book value of shares to determine the situation of over or under capitalization. So I gave you an example where we discussed how the book value is computed and how the real value is computed. I hope you remember that book value was concerned with the owner's funds, that is to say, the share capital, the reserves and surplus, simply divided by the number of shares would give you the book value. But on the other hand, when we take into consideration the capitalized value of earnings of the company, that is to say, when the earnings aspect is considered and then divided with the number of shares, it gives you the real value of the share. So if I put it in a simple manner, when the book value of the share is higher than the real value, so you will get an idea that the real value is less. The earnings are comparatively less than the investment. It is a situation of overcapitalization. But just think about the contrary. In case the book value is less than the real value, that is to say the real value is higher, the earnings are higher in respect to the capital investment, it would be a situation of undercapitalization. So when you understand the concept of even one of these, immediately you have to see the contrary effect with the another form of capitalization. So with this quick discussion, I would be just showing you all the points that we have done previously. You can have a look at whatever is mentioned in bold words. So as I said, the earnings are less than the capital investment, real value is less than the book value, and the amount of capital invested is more than what is needed by the business. This was the example we had discussed about computation of book value. So with the formula, you might have known the answer was 160. But if we compute the real value by considering the earnings aspect, the real value is 120. So as you can see, the book value was 160. Real value is 120. We feel that book value is higher than the real value. The situation is overcapitalization. But if the situation would have been opposite, it would have been undercapitalization. We discussed the definitions also given by Justin Berg, which is basically the summary of the entire situation of overcapitalization. Capital more than the requirement, more than the earning capacity. And we discussed the same things for undercapitalization as well. And the definition given by Justin Berg. So this much was all what we had discussed in the previous lecture. So students, having done with both the concepts of over and undercapitalization, we move ahead with understanding of the new topics for the day. We shall be understanding the different causes as to why overcapitalization exists, what are its effects, and what are the remedies that a company can take against a situation of overcapitalization. So let us first discuss the different factors leading or causing overcapitalization. Number one that you see is promotion during inflation. Now, students, I hope that you are clear with the term inflation. Inflation could be simply known as an economic situation where the prices are rising high. So when a company is newly established during inflation, that is to say it is promoted newly during inflation, or let us say even an existing business is trying to grow and expand, but during inflation, then it will be purchasing every sort of asset at a higher price, because with inflation, there is optimism everywhere and the prices are also high. But on the other hand, it is not able to earn enough. The earning capacity is not higher because when deflation sets in or when depression comes, the prices would fall and the earnings would decline. So basically, it leads to overcapitalization because when you invested, it was during inflation at higher prices. So there was high investment. But when there was deflation, prices were going down. In that case, the share prices went down and definitely the earning capacity is less. So it leads to over capitalization. The second factor that you see very easy and again similar to first are the heavy promotion expenses. Now, whenever a company is newly started, it will have to pay some expenses for the promotion of the company, could be for the promoter's services. So when the promoter is charging large number of shares in consideration of their services, the company will have to pay a higher price for the same. So investment becomes quite huge, but on the other hand, it affects the earning capacity of the company. So it would result into overcapitalization. The third factor that you see is purchasing assets at inflated price. Again, quite simple. So when, let us say, a sole proprietorship or a partnership firm is getting converted into a company, sometimes the assets that are transferred at a very high price. So when you purchase those assets at inflated or at higher prices, definitely the investment is quite huge, but on the other hand, the earning capacity is not good enough, ultimately again resulting into over capitalization. The fourth factor, raising debt funds at high interest rate. Now, I hope you are aware about the term debt funds. They are nothing but the borrowed funds, could be debentures, could be the long-term loans. So when the company is raising the debt funds, the borrowed funds at high interest rate, it will affect the investment and will also affect the earning capacity of the company, because now the earnings would be divided into high interest rate that they have to bear. On the other hand, the investment is quite costly, so definitely will result to a situation of overcapitalization. The next that you see is a liberal dividend policy. Now, I hope that you remember from the first chapter that the company, while distributing its profit, is either distributed in the form of dividend to the shareholders or it will be retained back in the business as well. That is known as the retained earnings or the plowing back of profit. But when the company is following a liberal dividend policy, that is to say, very lenient dividend policy, giving excessive dividends to the shareholders and limited retaining of the money in the business, definitely it will affect the real value of the share. Because the more they pay dividend and less they invest into their own business, it will affect the earning capacity of the company. The next factor that you see talks about the taxation policy of the business. Now, this is again very simple to understand that the more tax burden the company is facing, definitely it will affect the earning capacity of the company. The more tax it pays, earnings would be reduced. Ultimately, even the real value of the share gets reduced and thereby leading to over capitalization. It could be a defective financial plan too. When I say a defective financial plan, it is to say that if the financial planning is not done properly, so we have seen in the second chapter that it will result into either a shortage of capital or it will result into funds lying idle. So when such a situation will take place, definitely it will affect the value of share and create a situation of overcapitalization. Let us talk about now the effects of overcapitalization. So I hope that you are by now clear with all the different causes that leads to overcapitalization. But when the company is facing a situation of overcapitalization, it will also have to bear few of its effects. The effects can be divided into three parts. That is to say, on the company, on the shareholders, and on the society at large. Let us first understand the effect onto the company. Now, I hope by now you remember the situation of overcapitalization, that under overcapitalization, the earning capacity is reduced while on the other hand, the investment is quite high. So such a situation would definitely affect the prestige of the company because the company is suffering from a low value of the share. That is to say, the real value of the share is very low. The earning capacity is quite low in relation to the capital invested. So it will affect the prestige, the goodwill, the credit standing, or the credibility of the company. There would be no source of finance available to the company because everybody would be hesitating to provide additional capital. So definitely it would be affecting the company's goodwill, the company's reputation. The second impact that is created is on the shareholders. Now, when I say shareholders, we definitely know one thing, that they are the real owners of the business. They have invested their hard earned money in the business. So when they come to know about a situation that company's earning capacity has gone down, they definitely have a risk that their dividend payment or the capital repayment would become very irregular and uncertain. Secondly, they also see that the real value of the share is reduced. So whenever such a shareholder would like to sell the shares, they would be getting very low prices as compared to the book value for which they had invested for. So definitely the shareholders will have to suffer this kind of effect onto them. One due to reduced real value and the other due to reduced earning capacity of the company. After having studied the effects on both the company and the shareholders, ultimately its effect will also be felt by the society at large. When there is such a company which is not having good earning capacity, its burden would be also shifted on the society and particularly onto the customers, because such a company will try to increase the prices of the products to smoothen its earning capacity. The prices may be increased or the quality may also be reduced. So such a company would not be able to survive more in the environment, will soon turn into liquidation. So this was all how overcapitalization is affecting the shareholders, the company, and the society at large. So I hope that you are clear with all the different causes and the effects of overcapitalization. After having done that, we can now understand what remedies are available or what could be the corrective measures taken by a company against a situation of overcapitalization. So the first one is reduction of share value. Now, when already the company is having excessive capital as compared to its earning capacity, it can reduce the share value. It can at least reduce the paid up value of the share. I hope you all know that the number of shares have their authorized value, have their called up value, and also the paid up value. So if that paid up value can be reduced, there could be a reduction in the share capital. Thereby, the value of investments can go down. Number two, plowing back of profits, as we discussed earlier also in the cause of overcapitalization, that with a liberal dividend policy, it would be affecting because it would be lesser retained earnings. So on the other hand, when we do not follow a liberal dividend policy, but we try to plow back the profits in the business itself, it will help in increasing the earning capacity of the company. And lastly, the reorganization of capital structure. That is to say, if the company's capital structure is reorganized, the effects of overcapitalization can be lessened. It could also be such as the preference shares, maybe they are redeemable preference shares. So if it is not in use, the same can be repaid or can be redeemed. Ultimately, the share capital could be reduced. As we discussed earlier also, that the share value could be reduced by reducing the paid up share capital. So if you reorganize your capital structure, it will definitely avoid a situation of over capitalization. So I hope that you understood with the different causes, effects, and the remedies for overcapitalization. In the next lecture, we would be understanding the same, but in the contrary viewpoint, that is to say, in the context of not over, but undercapitalization. So I think this much is enough for today's lecture. You can have a quick look at whatever we have discussed today. We have understood with the remedies for overcapitalization. We have understood its effects on the company, on the shareholders, and on the society. And thereby, you can also have a look at all the different causes of overcapitalization. So I hope that you are clear with whatever we have discussed up till now. See you soon in the next lecture. And for any doubts, you can always put the doubts in the Google Classroom and I shall be answering to them at the earliest. Thank you so much for the day. Until then, happy learning.